What if somebody else's rent check covered a big chunk of your mortgage every single month? That is the whole idea behind buying a two-family home and living in one of the units. And on Staten Island and Brooklyn, it is one of the most realistic paths to home ownership that I can point somebody toward right now. I'm Joseph with the Bridge and Boro Team at Real Broker, and I work with buyers all over Staten Island and Brooklyn. Staten Island in particular is loaded with legal two-family houses, and most first-time buyers walk right past them. They assume it's either investor territory or something you do later after you already own something, and that could potentially be backwards. Now, I did put together a free two-family house hacking guide that shows the financials. It's on my website, ranolarealestate.com, but I easily, for you, linked it in the description and the pinned comment below. Simply click the link and you will have access to this free resource. It really paints the picture for you. So here's the part that makes this whole thing work, and it's the entire unlock, is that you live there, right? FHA will finance a 1 to 4 unit property with as little as 3.5% down, as long as you occupy one of the units. An investor looking at the same exact building, same block, same price, they can't touch that financing. They're buying either all cash, or they have to put typically a minimum of 25% down for an investment loan. They have to put down a serious chunk of cash because the lender treats it as a pure investment. Now, you'd be buying a home that happens to have a tenant in it. So those are two completely different loans. And that gap is the single biggest reason a first-time buyer can get into a two-family while a seasoned investor has to sit it out. But it comes with a condition, and I need you to hear this one clearly. You do have to actually move in, and there is a 1-year occupancy requirement attached to it. And that's not a suggestion, it's not a technicality. You sign a certification saying that you do intend to live there. And signing that with no intention of living there is mortgage fraud. Don't do it. Live there. It's 1 year. Just live there for 1 year. After that year, you are free to move on and keep it as a full-blown rental, and plenty of people do exactly that. The second thing that surprises people is that your salary is not the only income that the lender is now looking at. An appraiser puts together a rent schedule saying what the other unit should realistically rent for, and lenders will count a good portion of that rent toward what you qualify for. Though not all of it, not all the time, but it is a whole secondary income that can count for you. They're going to hold back some to account for vacancy, repairs, which is fair, right, overall. But the effect is real. That rent credit can push your buying power well past what your paycheck alone would support. And it is based on appraised market rent, not on whatever the seller tells you they are collecting. So let's use round numbers, right? Say you're looking at a two-family around $800,000, and the other unit rents for somewhere around $2,000 a month. That $2,000 is doing two jobs at once. First, it's helping you qualify on the front end, and it knocks down your real monthly cost once you own it. And that's the whole idea in one sentence. One quick thing, right? Every month that tenant pays, a piece of that payment is going toward principal. And that is your equity, not your landlord's. Now, the checks that actually matter, and the first one is not optional. We have to confirm that the two-family is legal, right? That means a certificate of occupancy or a C of O from the DOB or Department of Buildings that literally says 2 dwelling units, not one family with a finished basement and a stove down there. That's an unpermitted conversion, and it's all over this market. I see it constantly, right? The listing says 2-family, the tenant has been downstairs for years, the paperwork says something else entirely different. Now, it could even, on the first check, when you first scrape it geodata, it could show as 2-family, but that's just the way it's being taxed. So now when it comes down to it, that deal will not get financed because you cannot legally count that rent, and you're inheriting somebody else's violation. You can look it up yourself for free on the Department of Buildings site before you ever write an offer. I recommend you do it. Of course, working with me, I will do that for you. But in Brooklyn, the price points are different, but the structure is identical. And the two-family stock is there if you know where to look. Now, you really do have to know where to look, because 2 families could be $2 million, right? But anyway, next decision is tenant already in place, or would you prefer to have it delivered vacant, you find your own? So if a tenant comes with the building, you inherit their lease exactly as it is written, and that rent is very often well under market. You're also inheriting a person that you never screened. You don't know their payment history. You don't know really anything. And yes, we're gonna fact find, but everything we get isn't always 100%, right? Vacant is usually worth paying for because then you get to pick the tenant, you set the rent, you write the lease, you set the terms. It's just starting fresh with your own thing. If you have to give up a little bit on price to get it delivered vacant, that is frequently the better trade. I won't say every time, but it's typically the better way to go. Now, the honest part, because I'm not going to sell you a fantasy here, but the day you close, you are a landlord, and that's a job, and nobody just hands you a manual for it. You're going to get the late night call, right? No heat in February, water coming through a ceiling on a Sunday morning, you wanted to finally sleep in. You're the one who answers it, and you're the one who pays for it. Don't forget that. So vacancy is the one also that, really stings, right? When that unit is empty, the entire payment, your entire mortgage payment is yours, right? All the little figuring out we did with the mortgage, that doesn't matter because you're paying for the whole mortgage, right? And then the mortgage doesn't care that nobody's living upstairs, the bank, right? So you want real cash in reserves before you close, not after, right? Repairs land on you, 2 kitchens, 2 sets of appliances, 1 roof, 1 boiler serving the whole building, or 2 furnaces, whatever, 2 water heaters. Those aren't if, those are when. You should always be putting money aside. And don't forget, New York is a strongly tenant protective state. That's not a complaint, it's just the ground that you are standing on. If you are looking to get into something like this in New York and you end up in a bad tenant situation, it revolves very slowly and it resolves very expensively. Housing court is not fast, and you're covering that mortgage the entire time you're in it. And quite frequently, the person is still living there in your house, and you're not getting a dollar for it, and more wear and tear on your house while this is all happening. So this is exactly why screening is the most important thing that you will do as an owner, right? We're gonna pull credit, verify income, actually call the previous landlord, not just the current one, but the previous one, right? Because the current one, if it's a bad tenant, oh yeah, they're great because they want them to leave, right? So who's this really for, right? Somebody with real cash reserves, steady income, and a willingness to trade a little bit of privacy for some equity. It's not passive income. Nothing about it is passive. Your tenant is on the other side of the wall, right? Whether it's the basement, the second floor, whatever, you have another living family with you in your same dwelling. But if you are willing to do the work, this is the most direct route that I know from paying rent to building equity in New York City, which is a place that is exceedingly harder to crack into the market. If you want to see which legal 2 families are actually on the market right now, call or text me 917-905-2541. This is something I work with very frequently. Make sure you grab that free guide on my website. Again, it's going to be pinned down below. It's going to be in the description. I put it everywhere possible for you to find it. I'm Joseph, Bridge and Boro Team. Subscribe for more talk about New York City real estate.